All right, let's go straight back to the phones and check in with the senator from Missouri, Senator Blunt. Welcome back, Big 550 KTRS.
Hey, good morning, McGraw. How are you all this morning?
We are doing great. Your counterpart, Claire McCaskill, made a little bit of news yesterday saying that she is not running for governor. I'm going to ask you the same question. Will you be running for governor?
If I was going to do that, I ought to figure out how to get like 6 months of discussion out of it before I announce I'm not going to run for governor. It was an interesting announcement, and I'm sure that there were at least a couple of people in Jefferson City very relieved to hear that.
In all seriousness, you're up for re-election in 2 years. Any thoughts about that election?
No thoughts about that election. I think the 16 election, both for Senate races all over the country and for the White House, will be impacted a lot by whether the Congress gets back to transparent constitutional governing or not. We've got a Republican Senate for the first time in almost a decade, and we'll see how we do with that. Tomorrow, Republican House and Senate members tomorrow and Thursday, going to be meeting together to talk about how we have the first agreed-to budget in 7 years, if we can get that done, and how we get these appropriations bills to the floor. And I think that'll have a big impact not only on congressional races in 2016, but also on whether people decide that they'd like to see the Republican Congress have a better partner in the White House, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to look hard to find some things that the president agrees with. And in fact, I'm going to the White House today with the Republican and Democrat leaders in the House and the Senate to visit with the president a little while this morning.
I'm confused. Does that mean you are running for re-election?
It means I'm not announcing anything right now, but I'm going to try to get the same amount of attention out of this that Claire did. No, I'm not. I'm not announcing anything officially, but I have no plans not to run for re-election.
All right, fair enough. I read a quote from you recently. You now that the Republicans are back in charge of the Senate, you're now on the Intelligence Committee, and you, leaving one of the briefings, walked out and said the world is a very scary place.
Well, it is, and I've been on that committee most of the time for the last 5 or 6 years. I was off for the last 2 years, and I've got to tell you, McGraw, I could actually tell a difference in just not worrying about the things that only the people on the House and Senate Intelligence Committee and the Congress know. And as we saw in France last week, something we'll be talking about in our committee this week will both be what's happened in France, what concerns we have about that in other places in the world, including here, and what happened, how vulnerable we are to cyber attacks, not only private entities like Sony, but apparently CENTCOM yesterday, the Central Command system, some of their peripheral social media, I believe to be the case. I may know more about that later. But we're hacked into, so we do have to be concerned about these two recent events as indications of the kinds of things that can and frankly will probably happen.
Was it a mistake? Was it a gaffe? Was it an oversight? Or was there something more nefarious with the U.S. not sending anybody to Paris for that march?
Yeah, I think they admitted it was a mistake, which you don't hear from the White House very often. I thought it was interesting that this would be a decision that the president wouldn't be involved in 6 years after, 6 years into the presidency. Not hard to figure out if leaders from all over the world are coming. There'll be some discussion about who's there from the United States of America. I thought it was maybe the most interesting thing was the spokesman contended that the president was not part of the decision, that he wouldn't go. If I was him, I'd be pretty worried about who I'd turn those decisions over to, that would fundamentally decide not only would the president not go, but the vice president wouldn't go, and the attorney general who's in Paris wouldn't go. A mistake, yes. But you've got to wonder, I think the president wants to downplay our role in world affairs. And that's one consistent thing you see. Nothing is ever a drama, but also nothing ever seems to be something that the United States takes quite as seriously as the world thinks we should, and I think that was another indication of that.
Yeah, let's switch to the Keystone Pipeline. I don't understand what the argument is. We want to build a pipeline to get the gas to the ports. What's the fight, and why are so many people willing to go to the mat against this?
I don't understand it either. You know, the State Department under both Secretary Clinton and Secretary Kerry have said that there's no environmental concern building the pipeline. In fact, I think you could argue that that's the safest way to move oil around the country. And it's not just to get it to the port, it's to get it to our refineries near the ports. Some of that will go on ships and go to the East Coast. Some of it will go on ships and go other places. But the vast majority of it continues to be likely to be energy we use in the United States. And the reason I think Keystone has become so important to Americans is it's more than building the pipeline. It's, are we going to wrap our arms around this incredible opportunity of more American energy and what it does for our economy and what it does for jobs or not? And as I've said many times on your program, it's not just the jobs to build the pipeline. It's the jobs that happen when people have confidence that they can pay their utility bill and the delivery system is going to work. The country's ready to make things again, and the country is ready to benefit from this great advantage we have with our two closest neighbors. Between the three of us, able to probably produce all the fossil fuel energy we use if that's what we choose to do.
Have you thrown your political heft behind a presidential candidate as of yet?
I have not. I have not, and I'm watching that. You know, with a race of my own, in all likelihood, back to our earlier comment in 2016. I'm not sure how involved I'm going to get in that this time. I usually do get involved, and I usually get involved fairly early, but I'm watching this a little differently, maybe in terms of trying to figure out who's out there that can be president, but also who's out there that can be elected president. And at least three of my colleagues are on that list of people who'd like to be president. I've never had that before as a House member. I don't think I ever had a colleague that was seriously in the competition on the House side of the building. It makes a little difference too, I think, as I'm going to be pretty thoughtful about this, and we need a leader. We need somebody who both on foreign policy and in doing the things that create more jobs, help create an atmosphere where people create more private sector jobs with better take-home pay. Those are the things the country needs right now, and I hope we are able to find it. And obviously, I think a lot of what people think about that will be what they think about the job that Republicans are doing in Washington and Democrats are doing in Washington over the next 2 years.
Senator Roy Blunt, you can certainly send your re-elect Roy Blunt mail here to the radio station. You'll be sure to pick it up whenever you come by. Have a good day.
See you soon.
We'll talk to you soon, Senator Blunt. Senator Roy Blunt here on the Big 550 KTRS Traffic, Weather, Sports.